Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the fall season. We are in the fall officially, and you might have started noticing some changes in the weather and probably some changes in yourself. So I'm going to do, this is based, Qigong is based on traditional Chinese medicine, and we follow nature's cues. This is what I love about this practice. And I like to teach seasonally because I take 10 weeks per season to fully go through the season on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, and on an energetic level. And it's a big subject. So I'll break it down, by part one, part two, part three. Today's first one is the physical part of this fall season. There's two organs that we focus on each season. And again, what's great about this, it's a lot of information. So when you break it down from season to season, then you start seeing patterns. Start seeing patterns within yourself, within other people, with your environment. And then you can start connecting dots. And then you can use this for self-care, for kind of figuring out what's going on with yourself and on some other deeper levels besides just the physical level. So today is fall. And for the next 10 weeks, that's all I'm going to focus on. The two organs, we work with two organs per season because certain organs are also at high tide, which means are usually effective the most. For instance, we came off the late summer. We just came off late summer. It's a very energetic time of year. And the summer is a very energetic time of year, and it's typically warm wherever the summer is in our universe. And heat can affect the heart. So we really focused on the heart that time and the stomach, those months. This is the lungs and the large intestines. And the lungs are affected the most because of the sharp change in weather. And it gets very cold typically in most regions of the world in the fall. And it affects the lungs. Our lungs are the most exposed, outwardly exposed, because we're inhaling, taking in this oxygen. The lungs expand, they contract, we let go of carbon dioxide. They're front and center. And this is a lot of times when people get flus. This is the time of year a lot of people get all kind of respiratory stuff. So we're going to really focus not only on the lungs, the whole breathing component to the lungs, which is the diaphragm. I'll be talking a lot about working with our breath, especially using our diaphragm for breathing, more consciously using the diaphragm, because we forget how to use it. And actually, that idea goes dormant of using the diaphragm, and I'll explain the reasons why for that. But to come back to the lungs, of course, we know we have two lungs, and we have this diaphragm that sits right kind of in the bottom part of our rib cage. And it's an underutilized muscle in our body. And it's one of the most important muscles for our respiration. So since the lungs and the large intestines are at high tide, and I don't want to get into so much why we focus on those two. Of the lungs, I'll focus on the large intestines at another video. But anyway, let's just stay with the breath for now. Front and center are the lungs. Breathing front and center, learning how to cultivate a deeper breath, and I'll explain why that's so important. So typically when a baby is born, you will notice the baby, really focus on how the baby's moving. Next time you're with a young child, notice how they're breathing, especially when they're sleeping. They breathe in and out, up and down. Their whole body is breathing. There's no stress typically in a young child yet. So they're very open, and the whole body is breathing. But then as we start to learn how to talk, when we start thinking, when we have more stress, now we're getting older, we stop breathing fully and deeply. The breath is only coming from the upper chest, which is not efficient. So we're always here, not here. And this is cutting off all the nutrients that we need from this prana that we take in, that we draw in. Plus, it's just too restricted, and we're breathing in too much in, and we're not breathing enough out. So there's this like kind of shock feeling all the time, this high anxiety all the time. We're always kind of in this mode, and we're forgetting to learn how to breathe. So that part of our breathing mechanism goes dormant. So what we're going to do in the next 10 weeks is to really fine tune this idea of breathing correctly and waking up the dormancy. And we do that through understanding first the mechanics of that. Then we go into Qigong movements to open up the body so you can invite this breath in and expel the breath too. And we'll look at the emotionality piece too of what prevents us to breathe fully and deeply. Some people breathe backwards, where instead of, as you inhale, feeling the expansion of the breath, people inhale and they'll contract. So they're breathing backwards. But when you go to sleep, the breath goes back to its normal state of breathing because you're relaxed in sleep. So the body relaxes and then the body can naturally take over and breathe fully and deeply and correctly. But while we're awake, this is when you really want to pay attention to activate this diaphragm breathing. So let me just change my view so you can see this part of my body. So the diaphragm sits here. I was talking about, I want to talk about the attachment of the diaphragm. The diaphragm looks like a dome, and it's a pretty good size muscle. And it sits right in between the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th ribs. So right around here, the diaphragm sits. It also, there's a piece that attaches to the sternum at the point of the sternum. It also attaches. So it's attaching to the sternum, it's attaching to these lower ribs, and it attaches to your lumbar spine, the first and second lumbar. So think about this region where it's attached. If you're not breathing here and feeling this expansion coming, in and out down here, you're cutting off some movement in the body also. So the organs get a nice massage when you're breathing this way. And also, if you have back issues, learning how to breathe in the back of your body is going to expand that region, create some space, and it's also going to be massaging that part of your body. It's also good for your digestive system because all the organs are now getting a really nice daily massage. We breathe, I don't know how many breaths we breathe, 600 breaths a day. They're getting this beautiful massage of the organs to keep them nice, pink, plump, and moist. So learning how to breathe, if you're just breathing from the upper chest, there's too much tension here. Your shoulders get tight, your neck gets tight, the jaw gets tight. You're not speaking properly because you're not getting the breath to come from all the way down from the diaphragm, all the way up and out. So again, we want to learn this idea of breathing from this diaphragm, this beautiful muscle of the diaphragm. And the diaphragm, it's moving up, it's moving down. When you inhale, it comes down to allow this breath to come in. It expands your lungs. And then as you expire, as you exhale, the diaphragm pushes up again and it pushes out the air. It deflates the lungs. So this beautiful, like a balloon type of feeling is happening, but you want to breathe at a 360-degree part of your body. So your whole body starts to breathe and take in this prana, this life force. So everything is about taking in, processing, and letting go. We take in food, the food processes it, we have to let it go. We take in a thought, we process it, and then we've got to eventually let the thought kind of go out. Not getting so stuck into all the data all the time. We take in an emotion, the emotion's processing. If you don't let it go, it gets stuck. So it's this all about inhaling, processing, letting go, taking in your life, processing, and letting it go. When we're first born, we come into this world with a breath. We inhale with a breath, and when we die, our last thing is our last breath. We let go. So we take in this life, and then we do have to let go of this life. So that's the deeper part of this practice. But for today, we're going to start with the diaphragm breathing. Now, it's the easiest way to learn diaphragm breathing correctly one way to first get introduced to this is when you're lying down. So you can do this before you go to bed, before you wake up, before you get out of your bed in the morning. The spine is relaxed when you're lying down the most. So when you're taking those nice deep breaths in and out, you'll feel that expansion pretty easily. It's pretty obvious when you're lying down because you don't have to grip on anything. The back is supported. So the rest of the body can really expand and contract a lot easier. It's easier to learn this when you're lying down. Then when you sit, now the spine's coming more into, because we need our spinal cord to hold us up sitting. So there's an engagement, there's that balance between engaging the abdominal muscles, but also feeling that expansion and contraction, feeling that, bringing in more of that oxygen in and releasing the carbon dioxide. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to also keep somewhat of an engagement, of the spine to keep you sitting. When you're standing, now you really have to engage the spine and the abdominals to keep you centered and grounded. Again, also feeling the expansion and the contraction of this whole mechanic region of the diaphragm and the breath. So again, if you want to start just understanding the diaphragm, do it while you're lying down. It's the easiest and the quickest way to start realizing that where you're breathing. And then eventually start practicing it sitting and then standing, and notice the difference with that too. Notice when you're holding your breath. If you're very excited about something, whether it be good or bad, notice what you're doing with your breath. You might notice you're here and you're not breathing completely fully, especially if you're stressed. If you go into a stressful situation, check with your breath. Because as soon as you turn on that mechanic of that diaphragm, the mechanics of that diaphragm and breathing fully and deeply, it's going to calm you down immediately. And then you won't hold the stress so much. We don't want to hold stress too much because it's very compressive. It's also very inflammatory, and continuous stress inflames the body so much to a point it starts to create a breakdown. And then we start having these immune diseases like Parkinson's disease, MS, all kind of digestive illnesses start popping up. We want to keep the system cool and calm and collective on a more regular basis. Start with the diaphragm, start with the breathing, and then let me know how you do. If you practice it and you feel some sort of aha moment or some sort of breath awareness, let me know how you're doing. I also want to recommend a great book. Of all the books I have read on breath, this is by far my favorite and the easiest to read. And it's just an extraordinary book, but it's just called Breath. And it's by James Nestor. Highly recommended if you want to do a deeper dive in this idea of breathing. Highly recommend this book of all the books I've read. I've been practicing these practices for 45 years. So a recommendation of this book. I really highly recommend it. But start with just lying down. Start with your diaphragm. Follow me as I continue these different breakdowns of the season. It's a wonderful practice. I also have a website with some classes if you ever want to join me. I also have this YouTube channel if you want to do some of my other videos. I have some free classes. I have some paid classes. I have privates. But my website is just simply Qigong with Debbie. It's posted also on the video. You can click right into my site. But whatever you do, start breathing deeply, fully, slowly, and take in your life. Thank you so much for joining me, and namaste to all of you.